welcome. Thank you, everyone who stayed. Please, if just link this out because this is the fun segment I think of the entire show. Like obviously the whole show is fun, but this is like a very like fun, quirky kind of thing here. So what we're doing next is called Overrated, Underrated. I ask my two guests here a question. And they have to say whether or not it's overrated or it's underrated. What happens there is they give a one-word response, overrated, underrated, and then we ask why. Or I ask why, actually. I'm just one singular person here. I ask why, and then they go into it, and it goes from there. And we all have a nice laugh. We banter. We joke. We cry. A lot of stuff happens. So, kicking it off, I think very fittingly, this is number one. Unions. Overrated, underrated.
Underrated.
Okay. Why?
Because people don't understand how important employees are to grow a business. So if you're only focusing on the top part of the idea, the employees are the ones that actually actualize it. So if you don't understand how unions work and you're not giving some power to the workers, it's underrated. I just still think there's a lot of information around it, and there's too much misinformation. So that's why it's completely underrated.
Kelly?
Workers are important. Workers' rights are human rights. Human rights matter. And unions protect those, and people think very poorly of them and workers, and we need to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with you too, 100%, like with everything. So I'm not even gonna that one. What they said.
Happy to hear that.
That's the first one though. We haven't argued.
Yeah.
Do we argue? Is this an argue time?
We can argue. We can argue.
No. Here's the thing. That was the only one that I think we're all gonna agree on.
I think we're gonna have other ones because it's overrated.
Let's go. Yeah.
That's whole banter about it.
Next one. Overrated, underrated. Keurigs and coffee pods. No.
Overrated.
Underrated. Hold on. Is there an option? Is there like an adequately
No. It's either overrated or underrated.
Yeah, either one or zero.
Underrated.
Underrated. Okay. Why?
I just coffee pods just don't do it justice for me. Like when I have like a coffee with a coffee pod, like don't get me wrong, it's convenient. That's nice. But the coffee itself, it just like I really look forward to that process in the morning to make my coffee, and it really gets me going. So when I can't do that, I'm just like, it's convenient, but it's just there's no satisfaction there. I'm just doing it for the caffeine.
I honestly feel like we have this coffee maker at our house right now that's essentially just a giant pod. Like it does a thing where you put the filter in and it just like blasts it like a waterfall, and then you get a pot of coffee in 30 seconds, and it's amazing, right? And it also kind of sucks, but I think it's like the line between like it's amazing and it sucks is really blurry, and I'm like, this is kind of underrated. Like if I had a pod and I put some time into it and I could just push the button 10 seconds later, I have a pretty decent, kind of bad, kind of amazing cup of coffee. Like I'm happy. Like I think if we took it seriously, we could have something really good. But right now it's underrated, and I think we need to adequately rate it. That's my take.
Got it.
So from the comment section, it's bad for the environment.
Oh, that's probably true. Thank you for the accountability. It's probably really bad for the environment. There are probably ways that we could fix that with compostable plastics, with other materials and stuff like that, but I think that's part of the conversation of adequately rating it. I think if we didn't treat it like it was trash, we wouldn't be using trash to make it, right?
Yeah, good point. I think they are overrated because I had one for a while, and what ended up happening was like the coffee wasn't. I don't know if it was just my machine. I might just talk it up to the fact that my Keurig machine was like not good, but I had the pods for a while, and it started like just really watering down my coffee. Like just really, really watering it down. I was just like, this is awful. So I just got a French press, and it takes like a few more minutes and more like a little bit, but it's like it gives you the same thing. 2 cups of coffee, me and my wife are happy.
That's true.
And it's fine. But that's because my personal experience, I think it's overrated.
Yeah. Innovation-wise, I think it's underrated. But as for the experience, like what it really does, I think it's really overrated.
I think the experience is not great, right? But I think the idea is pretty sick, and I think the idea could be tweaked a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, a little bit more sustainable, a little bit more eco-friendly. And if we got, what if a specialty coffee shop was like, these are our pods, and this is our pod machine, right? And it doesn't just do the same amount of coffee in the pod for whatever amount of, like, that's why it's pottery, right? It's like, you could do 16 ounces or 8 ounces, but it's the same pod no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, we could just really dial this in and get like a really pretty, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about technology. But I imagine somebody smarter than me could make it pretty tight.
Yeah. We might have to scrub this part just because someone's going to steal that idea. You got to patent it quick.
I'm watching you.
But I mean, innovation-wise overall, though, like generally the first round is not very eco-friendly. They have to because they have to look at margins and make it so it actually creates money. Because
There's, like,
otherwise,
no incentive, yeah.
otherwise the idea wouldn't work. So like that's one part. But then
When profits are the incentive for everything, you know, everybody suffers. So
exactly.
think about that, folks.
So then from there you can push towards the sustainability. Once you actually created the money and you can reinvest it, that's why the people that find the company, their initial vision should be the sustainability, but the
Yeah.
pathway to it versus,
oh yeah,
you know, like you can't go from like just straight to it, but like I think there's
Yeah.
a pathway that you can eventually build up to it. It's an aspiration that you should get to,
yeah,
but you can't just do it from the start.
got it.
Yeah, I think eventually everyone wants to get to the point in Back to the Future where the dad put the little tiny puck in the microwave and it turned into a Pizza Hut
Absolutely.
pizza.
Oh
like
my
that
God.
is the goal, you know? Like that's what everyone really
That's the
wants.
vision.
That's the vision. You want
Yeah.
the Back to the Future.
100%.
Yeah, Spy Kids. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
everything.
there you go.
Just pop it in the machine. Next thing you know, you got a whole pizza. You know, it's that is the goal. But until we get there in a sustainable way, we gotta look into what's going on with it.
Got to make some French press.
Yeah, gotta make some French press until then. So moving on, next topic. It kind of in the same wheelhouse here. Plastic straws, overrated, underrated.
Yeah.
Absolutely overrated.
Overrated. Yeah.
Why?
So don't get me wrong, I'm a huge advocate for sustainability, but you banning straws and pissing people off is not the way to do it. Because if you're taking away the one thing that, like the footprint of straws is, don't get me wrong, there's a footprint there and it causes an environmental problem, but you're not doing any justice to like get people to act on sustainability by creating a problem for them. So let's say you go to a restaurant, right? And the fact that like you have to ask for a straw and then you're getting these straws that are really poorly created, right?
Yeah.
That
yeah.
like shrivel in your mouth and like it's just not a good experience. Like I just think not good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I think a lot about like you like measures of control, you know, and I think a lot about like what is effective. And at the end of the day, like I'm all about banning straws, and I don't care if people are mad. I'm like, if this like lessens the footprint, awesome, but it's not the real issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like. And that plays into this idea of like our measures of control, the answer, and it's like information, it's like educating, and it's like this is why we need to work towards sustainable like products and like eco-friendly products because our environment can't sustain it.
Exactly.
And it's not a measure to control you, it's like, and it's not infringing on your individual freedom, it's looking at like our collective freedoms are all threatened by environmental disaster,
Exactly.
right? So to preserve your individual freedom, we all have to give up our freedom to use straws. And that is cool with me, you know, but it's
Yeah.
also like corporations have to give up their freedom to destroy the whole planet, you know, so.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I agree with the both of you. But I think it goes back to that like individualization of the US where it's just like this, there's no way that this is like company's responsibility. It's your responsibility to not use plastic straws. How dare you use that plastic straw? Did you look at that turtle over there?
Right.
And you start to put the blame and take away like any of the onus on yourself as the corporation, and you push it onto the people.
Do you know why they why the banning of straws actually happened?
You talking about the turtle?
Well, that too, but like, do you know like why they decided to go with straws first?
Why?
Because what they wanted was that what people are asking for, it creates a self-conscious attitude and consumer behavior around it, and then the owners of the businesses also are taking like accountability for it. But the issue was that's not how consumers work. So like I think they misconstrued how consumers would react to it versus like them having an open conversation about sustainability because they were trying to go from bottom up. I honestly think if you want to do it correctly, like for same thing with bags at stores, right? Like if you have like plastic bags at stores, sure, you're making it thicker, right?
Yeah.
People don't care about the extra 5 cents they're paying for, like the 15 cents or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's thicker, so it's actually even worse. So it's like,
Sure.
So it's I think it's just that they really need to look at consumer behavior and actually drive those actions versus trying to just get people to talk about it and then hope that people change, because that's not going to happen.
It is consumer behavior is a weird thing to study consumers like a science, you know what I mean? Because behavior is more or less, I guess we can predict it to a degree, but it does have to remove like, we're doing things without regarding the agency of people, you know, like we're seeing how they're going to react to things, and I think that's always really kind of a dicey game, you know what I mean? And so it makes sense that it would backfire on people trying to like pseudo control people, you know?
Yeah,
Exactly.
No, this is like the stuff that really like gets my brain juices flowing. Like when I was at UCR, my research, it was on like consumer persuasion.
Oh,
and, like,
wow.
How brands can like, you know, persuade people to do stuff, and how just people are just, for the most part, like very manipulable, but it's in like not the ways that you think.
Yep.
Like
Sure.
it has to be like these like very micro adjustments.
Yeah.
That eventually steer the ship in a way that the firm or the brand wants you kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
And the bags and the straws really in it. But I do want to make a comment though. So when I first brought up these talking points to Val, he was like immediately. He was just like, "Oh, plastic straws are stupid." Like he was like the fact that the ban is a thing. It's so dumb. And I was like, "Dude, you're from Finland. Like this is like you're like the place that
Sustainability, front focus for everything.
Yeah,
we have sustainable clothing.
I was like,
we
who
have
hurt you, man? Like what happened? You want to talk about it?
like I said, my biggest thing is like
turtles or something.
Yeah.
no, I love turtles. I love that part. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That's not where I'm trying to go with it. But my whole perception is like, if you're trying to do it, you have to do it in an authentic way that doesn't get pushed on people, because it's going to create kind of a tension. And if you create a tension, like in Finland, sustainability is a front focus because we environment is everything we have there. Don't get me wrong. I love Finland to death, but like the environment's why people love Finland, because the trees, the lakes, and all that kind of stuff. So we really care about it, but it's engraved in our culture. So that going back to the consumer behavior, we're focused on it. We think about it. In America, that's not how it works here. So you can't just like push that on people.
I think that plays back into like it puts this onus on education, you know, and like if like a place like Finland have a culture of protecting the environment, you know, and like that's a whole set of believing and talking and thinking about the environment that we just don't have, you know. And so the plastic straws, it makes sense that people would be like, I hate you for taking my straw away, because they don't have the culture of caring for the planet, you know. And I think that makes it so that the responsibility is like, we need education. We need to educate people. You know?
I mean, last thing I will say on this is, you even look back at like the reduce, reuse, recycle movement and like the carbon footprint movement. That was a corporation that pushed that. Like that was I think it was it oil who pushed that? Yeah, it was oil. I think it might have been Exxon who pushed that, like reduce, reuse, recycle. Also like carbon footprint, such a big deal. Like you got to make sure your carbon footprint's small. Make sure you recycle and do all this stuff. And they did that as a way to remove themselves. And put the blame back on the people. Like they're like, you know, I don't want to be like, wake up, sheeple, but like
no, it really is. It's like the planet's dying because you're taking a long shower and you're not riding your bike to work and all that stuff. And I'm like, are you sure it's not all of the toxic materials you're putting into the environment? Like,
it's lack of education is a big part of this entire conversation.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Next topic. Vacationing during COVID. Overrated, underrated?
Very overrated.
Overrated.
Why is that?
You can't do anything. Like the reality is like when for example, if I went on a vacation, the reason I'm going on vacation is not to stress about stuff and like not to think about it. If I'm going on a vacation, I go somewhere, I'm stressing about the flight there, I'm gonna get COVID when I fly. Then when I'm actually at that location, it's like, where can I actually go? I can't go out to bars. I can't have a good time with my friends. I can't be stress free and just enjoy it. I mean, you can maybe travel to places with less cases, but I mean that still exists. It's just hard. Like there's just like, it's just created this cloud over the whole situation. So it's like I wouldn't be able to fully enjoy a vacation that I paid for, but it is cheaper, so I'll give it that.
I feel like I like tentatively say overrated because I sympathize so hard with the feeling of wanting to escape right now, you know. And I think like it's digesting the reality that like there is no escape. It's everywhere. Like vacationing doesn't exist right now, really, you know, like you can't get away from it. So I think it is overrated to think that there is a way to get past it or there's a way to get away from it. But
so real quick, someone in the chat says, go on a small weekend getaway with one person in the woods or the mountains. Just get away.
Oh yeah,
I respect
absolutely.
That.
Yeah,
respect
is that on the table for vacations? Because I'm thinking of like going to like Miami or
exactly.
like something like
going
that.
to South Beach or something like that.
Something like that.
I think a getaway. I think that's great. I mean, get outdoors, get into nature. I think that's probably the best thing right now. COVID-19, everybody's stuck at home. Like get out and like go hiking or go
100%.
camping. Do those things.
100%.
But I wouldn't classify that necessarily as a full-on vacation. I think there's a kind of a. I mean, some people do, so don't get me wrong. I get you can, if you consider it a vacation, I consider that like a weekend getaway kind of thing. Not necessarily like a vacation to me is like you're gone for like 2 weeks.
Right, me too. Yeah. So to that commenter, underrated. Like get
absolutely.
outside. You know, I mean not right now because the air quality might kill you, but
if you're in the Inland Empire,
someday.
Hopefully. That's a very good point. It's like in my head, vacation is like there does not exist a day besides when I land and when I fly away where I do not have something intoxicating my body.
There you go.
Like that to me is a vacation in some way, shape, or form, you know?
We do not promote
No.
any of these activities. We just personally do them. So that's
Do as I say, not as I do.
There you go.
There you go.
Because you will have a very unhealthy life if you do as I say. So it's like when I go on like weekend getaways, like I'm going camping. I've been going camping a lot more recently because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get away and you're camping. You're
Yeah.
you're out in the open and you're doing all this stuff. I'm going camping next weekend, for example. And that's cool. But like I never look at like I don't want a vacation.
Yeah.
I don't want 2 weeks camping. Like some people that's their jam.
Yeah.
Like it's like going away for 2 weeks and camping. I sweat so easy.
5 days.
Yeah.
I can't do
five
it.
days max. For
I
me.
can't do it. I do like maybe a day or
You
two
gotta
max.
be okay to sweat, yeah.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
gotta do the weekend thing because the minute just the shower is so important to me, and that's just you don't get that if you're actually camping.
properly.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta embrace the filth a little bit.
Yeah, a little
you
bit.
you kind of do. You gotta roll around in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Indulge.
Yeah, indulge a little bit. Okay, so our last topic, sadly, I mean it's been an emotional ride, I think, to say the least. We've had a lot of ups and downs. Yeah, we've had a lot of ups and downs here. There's been a lot of things said, things that maybe we're gonna regret in the future. Who knows? Honestly, depends on how it goes. You know, no tears yet, but I'm hoping that with this one we can really hit a soft spot. Last topic here is outdoor dining, overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Like right now? Like in COVID time?
Let's say overall.
Overall? Oh,
You didn't say that preface before.
Let's say we hit our one COVID question. Let's do this one overall.
Overall,
underrated.
underrated. Yeah, I'm not to say
Underrated?
underrated if it's overall, but during COVID, it's overrated. So it's
Okay, the asterisk there is COVID, overrated. Anytime else, underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that? I'd like to both your COVID and your general response, please.
I mean,
Make sure to cry too.
Yeah, I mean, outdoor dining is all about an experience. That's what really it's about. It's about going out with some friends, family, stuff like that, and really having an experience around it, really enjoying, having good conversations. I always value that. I think that's just a great time to get people together,
Yeah.
and there's great experiences out of that. As for COVID, kind of sucks because you're going in, once again, like, yeah, you're wearing a mask, you go in there, you're outside, you get seated. It doesn't feel very comfortable. It doesn't feel like super casual kind of thing.
Yeah.
I can't go about and just be myself. And yeah, I just think COVID just creates this atmosphere and restrictions from the experience, and that's why it's definitely overrated with COVID. But outside of that,
Yeah.
I absolutely value it. I think it's so important to go out and eat.
Yeah.
Totally. I would say like apart from like even like getting food and going on a hike and like eating like I don't know whatever hiking food that you have like
Yeah.
I've spent like a lot of time on the road and like eating meals in like a gas station parking lot or like outside in a dirt lot or like just
Yeah.
like the worst places ever.
Yeah.
And those memories are always accompanied by like I'm with my friends.
Yep.
We're eating terrible gas station food and it sucks and like we know it's gonna suck later too, but just like we're in it, you know what I mean? Like we're filthy, we're eating filthy food like on the ground, and like that is I think an experience I think I want most people to have.
Yeah.
Like I want most people to hit the road and just like rough it pretty hard because it feels good. It feels really good to be like at the end of a day, I don't have any option but this like awful vegan gas station frozen hot dog, you know what
Yeah.
I mean, or whatever the hell it is, and it's great. It's really great.
Yeah. There's a sense of freedom in not having any choice.
Yep.
You know, it's like when all you have is the taquito that's been rolling around for the
Yeah.
past 5 days. It's like, all right, there it
Yeah.
is. That's what I'm gonna eat.
The freedom from having to make a decision at all is a freedom
Yeah.
of its own, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think overall, I love outdoor dining. I think it's just, you know, we're humans. We want to be outside. We don't
Yeah.
want to. We want to be able to see the sun and have that be
Yeah.
a thing and see nature. But during COVID, I mean, I still since COVID has started, I have not gone to eat out. Like I haven't gone to like a sit down place.
Yeah.
Like there's been when we went up to like Big Bear and stuff. That's the closest I ever got was like picking up from a location that's outdoors that has
Yeah.
the option for outdoor dining. But then we went back to our cabin and we had it there, like,
Yeah.
individual, like amongst
Yeah.
ourselves, you know. But like going actually to a restaurant and being involved in that, no, not yet. And that's just me
Yeah.
being like, I think a big worry wart. But at the same time, like better be safe than sorry. That's
Yeah.
always a mentality, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. So, I was laughing, Val, when you looked at me when you were talking about eating with friends and making memories, because you looked me so deep in the eyes.
Wow.
That honestly, I almost started to cry. You almost got me. You almost got me, you know?
Dead.
Something's welling up
Yeah,
right now.
That's funny.
welling up
Should
a
I
little bit.
leave? Like,
I think we're having a moment, actually.
yeah, I don't want to step on that.
No,
Jeez.
you're fine. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us, actually.
Nice way to end it.
Yeah, friendship forever. That's the way we're gonna wrap this up. That's the main takeaway from this over under. It's friendship is key, and never talk to someone from Finland about straws, because they get very passionate about it, which is strange. You don't see it coming, but it's coming.
No, I'm sure you talk to someone in Finland, they're gonna say the complete opposite of me.
Yeah.
I just lived in both cultures, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
That's
Very
what you
unique
know.
perspective.
Yeah, you have both perspectives here. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I love you. Not as much as Val loves me, apparently. But I do. Please, I know we took a 2-week break, but we're back now. We're getting the swings of things. We're getting this whole rest of the month has guests. Noah,
I'm again see for next week.
we're having him next week.
Awesome.
Nikhil, his COVID should be gone by then. He
doesn't have COVID.
He doesn't
We're just
Noah, if you're watching, he doesn't have COVID. It should be gone by next week, though. But unfortunately, I will not be here. So it's just going to be Val and Nikhil manning the ship for that one. And then the week after, we have JC White. She is a marketing coordinator and sort of like a YouTube personality. And she's a marketing coordinator for the San Bernardino Community College District, specifically Valley College, where I used to work. And I think it's cool to get different perspectives, obviously. One from someone that's very much like involved in community and helping build that out in a more reformational kind of way.
Yep.
And then also JC, who's looking at it more in an educational kind of way, where she's very much marketing towards these people who in community college, it's an option, you know.
Yep.
It's giving options when options might not be there. So yeah, ending on a serious note, I guess. But yeah, make sure you follow everybody here. Make sure you follow Augie's Union at Augie's Union on everything, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, Instagram. And then make sure you follow Free Logic Media on Facebook, not Twitter. I almost said Twitter. On Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. And please make sure that you subscribe to us on Apple Music, to our podcast, as well on Spotify. We really appreciate it. Every viewer, every listener counts. And if you have not, please subscribe to us on Twitch. We're trying to hit 50, because then we get, what's it called, affiliate?
Partner.
We get partner.
Affiliate then partner.
Partner. So we have to hit 50 before we do that stuff. And I know that we can do it within the next 2 months. I'm really confident in that. So thank you
I say
again.
a month.
Val says a month. Very aggressive.
We always do this.
We always do this. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Cheers.